Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, I recently decided to sell my vacuum cleaner. It was just gathering dust. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 50 World War II games tonight, numbers 20 through 11. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go ahead and take a look at my games here. Again, you'll see some Hex Encounter games. They're not all Hex Encounter games. They're not all war games. So if that's not your cup of tea, dismissed. But please stick around. Just don't leave nasty comments if you don't like the kind of games that I like. So let's go ahead and get started here with my number 20. This is from GMT Games. This is Combat Commander Europe. Now, this is the only Combat Commander game I played. Well, I played the World War I version, but from GMT, this is the only one I played. And Combat Commander Europe is a great kind of squad-level tactical game. But what's interesting here is card play. There's no dice rolls. The cards themselves have dice on it. And you draw cards for just about everything. You can draw cards for events and for actions. And so the cards, the way the card play works in this game is very cool. And you draw some cards, and there's a sniper attack on one part of the board. You know, really cool, really innovative and interesting game. This was, I think it was Chad Jensen designed this, who tragically passed away not too long ago. But he left behind some great games, and this is probably my favorite game of his that I played. Great squad-level game, great card play, great tactical Hex Encounter decisions. This is Combat Commander. That is my number 20. That is from GMT Games. My number 19 is a game. It's no war game. It is one of my favorite thematic games. This is Black Orchestra. Now, in Black Orchestra, you take on the role of the resistance leaders, right? Von Stauffenberg, Canaris, Bonhoeffer, all the great heroes of the resistance from World War II. As you're these figures, you're trying to find a way to assassinate Adolf Hitler. And you've got to find the right equipment. First of all, you need the right plot. You're finding these plots. Then you've got to get the right equipment. Then you've got to find the right circumstances. Hitler's got to be at the right place at the right time. And constantly, of course, the Gestapo is trying to track down on you. And if you're caught with contraband or things you shouldn't have, there could be problems, right? You could go to prison, and it's just a scary, scary thing. But it's a great cooperative game. It ultimately comes down to a die roll, right? Hitler's in the right place at the right time. Can we get him? Yes or no? And I know some people find that anticlimactic, but for me, this game is very much about the journey. And it's a great cooperative game. It's got a great theme, a fun and immersive theme. It works very well. The designer, Philip DeBerry, great designer. He also did Courtier, which is another great game, kind of a Renaissance game that I really enjoyed. So really enjoy Black Orchestra. Great stories. This is my number 18. That is from, I believe it was Starling Games. My number 18 is a book war game, and it's my favorite of the book war games. This is Coral Sea Solitaire. Essentially, of course, you're just writing in pencils in the book. You're looking at the course of your aircraft carriers. You're searching for the enemy Japanese aircraft carriers. And then if you find them, you send some of your fighters and bombers. You leave some of your fighters as kind of a combat air patrol, and they've got to get through them when they try to attack you. But it's a great game, and you're also trying to prevent the invasion of Port Moresby. It's wonderful. It's just, I love kind of carrier operations in World War II, and this does a great job kind of very abstractly simulating it. It's a lot of fun. As I say, my favorite book war game. This is Coral Sea Solitaire from Worthington Publishing, and that is my number 18. My number 17 is a game I've just played recently. I played it a few times now, just came out, but this is Axis and Allies North Africa. Axis and Allies North Africa, in many respects, it's an Axis and Allies game. But in a lot of respects, it's not. It's quite different. It's different because, for instance, in this one, supply is critical. You cannot attack, you cannot defend unless your units are supplied, meaning you have to have supply tokens in that space or in an adjacent space that they can draw from. So logistics becomes much more important here. Now, also too, you have kind of these reinforcements that you put into convoy zones. The convoy zones can be attacked, so you got to have escorts there to try to protect them. Uh, on the whole, it's really good. There's two scenarios. There's a Rommel's last push where he's trying to finally make his way into Egypt there, and then you've got the Operation Torch, which starts with the Americans coming in. So it's great. Of course, you got the Germans, the Italians for the Axis, the British and the Americans for the Allies. Wonderful new addition to the Axis and Allies family. So that is Axis and Allies North Africa. That is number 17, and that is from Renegade Game Studios. My number 16 is a solitaire game. This is from, I think, Revolution Games. This is Stalingrad Advanced to the Volga, 1942. This game is really cool. You've got a map of the city of Stalingrad. You're the Germans. You're trying to invest it. And in each space that the Germans don't occupy, there's a single counter that matches the terrain, whether it's clear or urban or heavy urban. And then when you move your forces in there, you flip it over. The natural defense of the space with the defense of that particular unit is what you have to beat, but there's also surprises. You could be ambushed, or there could be, elite units that you have to face. And they all have the kind of special events that trigger on them. But then you try to beat that number with a die roll, but critically you have to allocate support units, artillery, engineers, aircraft, and there's never enough. You're always trying to push and push and push, but there's never enough of those support units, and you always need them to get the advantage. But it's a great game, terribly fun. That is Stalingrad Race to the Volga, Advanced to the Volga. Stalingrad Advanced to the Volga, 1942. That is from Revolution Games, my number 16. My number 15 is a very different kind of game. It is from David Thompson, one of my favorite designers. And this is actually based on a video game. This is Sniper Elite. Now, Sniper Elite, of course, I actually played the board game, and that got me curious about the video game, and I played the video game. And I was actually so impressed with how they translate the video game to the board game, because that quickly became one of my favorite video games of all time. But the board game is a hidden movement game, where one of you is the American sniper, or with the expansion, different nationalities of snipers, and you're moving throughout the location, and the German guards are trying to find you, and they have various tricks that they can play. But you're moving secretly on a dry erase board, you're moving around, and you can take shots at the guys at the risk of exposing your location, but you're drawing kind of chips from a bag, counters from a bag, and to see if you can actually take these guys out. But you're trying to get your objectives fulfilled, and there's different maps. It's great fun. Really love Sniper Elite. That is my number 15. That's from Rebellion Unplugged. My number 14 is a great hex and counter game. This is 1944 Battle of the Bulge from Worthington Publishing. This is a great, you got the map, you got really big counters here that you're using. It's a great game of maneuvering through the Ardennes forest with the 6th Panzer Army as it's advancing against the Allies. And it's a great game of maneuver, of using resources wisely. And they've even got kind of different scenario objectives. So there's a lot of replay value as you're playing the different objectives there. But it's a great game, like I say, of maneuver, of using the terrain to your advantage, of advancing and pushing through, and then being a little bit more sneaky. It's cool because it even simulates the Germans masquerading as American units, which is pretty cool in this game. A lot of great stuff here. I really enjoyed Battle of the Bulge 1944. Great hex and counter war game. That is, again, my number 14 from Worthington Publishing. My number 13 is another game in the Undaunted series from Osprey Games. This is Undaunted Battle of Britain. I really like this one quite a bit. Of course, it's a deck building game where you're flying your aircraft. They are attacking, doing maneuvers. And it's really cool because you got the different scenarios here. And you got like Dunkirk, and then it goes all the way through Britain. But the Luftwaffe versus the RAF, and the artwork here is phenomenal in all these games. And just the way they're able to adapt the system from kind of, squad level games, squad level units on the board to fighter planes is really cool. Fighter planes and bombers is really cool. For instance, instead of like the fog of war, you've got like loss of communications. If you're too far apart, you can't really communicate well. Great job they did here. Super fun game. This is number 13, Undaunted, Battle of Britain. That is from Osprey Games. My number 12 may be the oldest game on this list. This was a game that I played at the recommendation of my friend Kevin several years ago. He had a copy. I liked it so much, I actually tracked down a used copy and bought it. This is Origins of World War II from Avalon Hill. So Origins of World War II it's not so much a war game as it is a diplomatic game. Essentially, you've got, like Britain, France, America, the Soviet Union, Germany, and you're all trying to like influence other countries. And what it is thematically is you're trying to set the stage optimally for you for World War II, or in the case of Britain, trying to avert it altogether. But you're trying to influence these different nations and gain power over them and kind of lock in your control of those nations. And then at the end of the game, you kind of add up who has what, and that gives you the victor. It's a solid game. It's a wonderful, wonderful design. It's one of these games that desperately needs a reprint. Some company needs to bring this game back because it's that good. In fact, it's good as it is, but I'd almost like to see a deluxe edition where maybe you could add some bells and whistles to it. But love Origins of World War II. I think it's a fantastic game. So that is from Avalon Hill, and that is my number 12. My number 11 is another game in a series of a game I just mentioned. This is from Revolution Games, Manila, the Savage Streets, 1945. Just like Stalingrad Advanced to the Bulge, 1942, it's the same system here, same designer. Essentially, you are investing Manila, you're MacArthur, the American army's coming to liberate the Philippines, as he promised. But as you're going in, you're meeting just this substantial Japanese resistance. And it's the same thing. The Japanese put counters in their spaces. You put counters in the Japanese spaces that match their terrain. As you move in, you're looking at the numbers there. You add them together. You got to beat those numbers in a die roll. But you need support, and you've got to use your support. There's some great events that happen here. You can have like commanders here. They can get sniped. So it's really fun. I think it's kind of an improvement of what we saw with the Stalingrad game. And it's kind of fun playing the American army here, too. I got a kick out of that. Really enjoyed it. Really a fantastic solitaire experience. So that is Manila, the Savage Streets, 1945. That's my number 11. And that is from Revolution Games. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us for my list. Let me know, what do you think? Do you like these games? Would these games be on your lists? What games would be on your list here in your top 50 games? As always, please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube here. Please give a thumb to this video. It really helps us out. Also, click on Twitter, follow us there as well. Now, if you do like if you like military history, sure, European history is in there. If you like military history, check out my other channel. That is Cody Carlson, PhD. We talk about military history, books on history, fun things. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to that channel as well. And if you do like the kind of content we bring to you, I'd humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. I recently wrote a book about how not to fall down the stairs. It's a step-by-step guide.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
Okay, so you've got 7, 8, 9.
9, 2, and 9.
Crap. You're making a lot of assumptions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, don't listen to him.
Cost 1 blue.
Yay.
So, does that...
Yeah, that's me.
Oh my gosh.